From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty crime stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work. We will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. And more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you. God bless America. And more importantly, God bless our victims. Well, hey guys, welcome to Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. It is Happy Hump Day here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. I just want to tell each and every one of you, I hope you're having a wonderful day. We are about to go over a few cases and give you some updates that you need to know about the cases. And then we're going to explore the Sebastian Rogers case in depth from beginning to end. So please stick around and thank you for being here. God bless. Hey guys, Bullhorn Betty, waiting for a few people to be notified that I'm here. It's nice to see you guys. Happy Hump Day. Happy Hump Day. I'm Bullhorn Betty. We got a lot of true crime cases to update you guys on this morning. None with any real good information, okay? And we're going to take some time and we're going to start breaking down the Sebastian Rogers case. We've got a lot more information and just want to be able to share that with you. But first, we're starting out this morning with Elijah Vu. Elijah Vu is a 3-year-old child that disappeared from Two Rivers, Wisconsin. He went missing on February 20th. February 20th of this year, has not been seen since. His mother, Katrina Bauer, and her boyfriend, Jesse Vang, are behind bars right now, but not for his disappearance, only for negligent charges against him and his older sister. Searchers have been out there for weeks searching for this young boy, and he has not been found. Nobody has been speaking. This case did lead to a landfill. Those conversations are pretty difficult to have because of how they're processed there at the stations, these landfills and stuff like that. While they have great logistics, they're designed to, disintegrate this stuff as quickly as possible. And we have to remember that. And there's a lot of heavy equipment. So if he is there, the chances of him being found is going to be very hard at this point. So we don't know where Elijah Vu is. There is no telling. But he's been missing for a significant amount of time, and Mom and her boyfriend aren't helping at all. So, good morning, everyone. It's nice to see you. I see you all chatting in the chats below. Good morning. Happy Hump Day for all of you. I'm glad that you are all here with me. Again, this is just a sad story. We have some information on the two beautiful ladies out there in Oklahoma and Kansas. If you guys remember, there are some, Vanessa, you are not lying. I was just talking, I have a lot of subs and members that reach out to me via email and everything else like that. And one of them was just like, there's so many children, there's so many people. And it's like, yeah, there are. It's a never ending list. It's a never ending list. We will never get through all of the atrocities across this country and be able to advocate for all the victims of those awful atrocities. And, we just do one at a time. We do as much as we can and do our best and pray to God we can help at least one person, you know, and we can't help them all, but we just pray for the one that we can. So hopefully we can get some information that can lead to, you know, somebody, to help somebody and help one of the families. This right here, the Oklahoma, the 2 missing girls, you know, obviously it's been a significant amount of time. Nobody's seen from them. There's foul play involved, and it's not looking good. So we're getting some, you know, information about how much more challenging this investigation is becoming. But the bottom line is it sounds like this is being treated, in my opinion, it hasn't come out public yet, but being treated as a homicide investigation. And there's a lot of stuff leading to that finding, but I've been reading a lot of stuff this morning, and this is not looking good. But I think we all kind of knew that this was not looking good for the 2 ladies, the 2 beautiful ladies. If you guys have not seen them, I just want to advocate for them. Let me find a good photo of them. Here we go, right here. There. Oh, no, that's too big. Hold on, maybe this one will work. There we go. Those are the 2 beautiful ladies. This is Veronica Butler. They were going to see her children. This is Jillian Kelly. She was the supervisor of the supervised visitation. She's a preacher's wife. And, you know, it kind of seems a little, you know, cryptic in a way, or, you know, creepy in a way, I guess. But in situations like this, Britt, I'll get right back to these updates on Summer Wells, but the short answer in that is no. I don't have any updates on her. But, you know, as creepy as this sounds, I feel like Jillian was meant to be there to help Veronica get through this. You know, that's really the only silver lining that I can find. And if you know anything about me, I always try to find the silver lining, because I don't want any victim to ever die in vain. And I don't know, this here has me, you know, really hold on. Oh, it's not some of my photos aren't syncing from the cloud yet, so I'm having a little bit of a problem here. So at the end of the day, I was just going to show you guys some maps to show you where they went and how they came. But the bottom line is we just need to keep them in our prayers. People are out there searching for them. If you guys want some, you know, behind the scenes ground searching, I think Rock Chalk on YouTube is running live out there. So if you guys just want to, you know, go over to Rock Chalk and just, you know, check out what's going on over there, just get a lay of the land. Again, that's on YouTube. So we're going to switch gears now. We're going to talk about the meat and potatoes. You know, why are we all here? Well, before I get started on that, I did want to let you guys know that these 2 beautiful ladies, Holland Snap and Layla Santinello, they both came up here recently because there were some remains that were found out in Kingsport, and they're 2 ladies that we've been looking for. But apparently there's another person that went missing a few years ago that had never been found. So law enforcement hasn't said who the remains are, and of course, you know, this could change, but it's my understanding that it's possible that it was the person earlier on in the case. So many of you guys are here for this boy here. This boy is Sebastian Rogers. He's a 15-year-old autistic boy that disappeared February 26th on the same day Madeline Soto disappeared. Madeline Soto was found by March 1st. Sebastian Rogers still has not been found yet. We learned, I'm just going to tell us all the facts that we know, very short and simply. I'm not going to elaborate. We're going to get into speculation here in just a second, but I'm just going to give everybody that's in right now just the short order facts of this case. It is our understanding that on February 25th, which was a Sunday, he was out with his mother to several places. They got home. What time they got home, we don't know, but they went out for the day. They came home. By 9 p.m., Sebastian's mother put him to bed. According to Sebastian's mother, she was on the phone with his stepfather, Chris Proudfoot, for approximately 3 hours, or up until midnight, when he finally told her she sounded really tired and just to go on to bed. Apparently, she went to bed around midnight. When she woke up the next morning on February 26th, around 6 a.m., she went into his room and he was gone. She calls Chris Proudfoot, his stepfather, immediately. And within 3 minutes, according to Katie Proudfoot, his mother, she stayed on the phone with Chris Proudfoot as they walked around the house looking for him. And then they proceeded to immediately call law enforcement. So that was the information that we had up front. Now that information has changed. The story has modified. There are now, instead of it just being Katie and Sebastian that day, we now have 2 aunts and a cousin that were present. And I don't know if they're on her side of the family or the Proudfoot side of the family. Don't forget the Bowersock's mom was on scene when Seth showed up. We're going to be getting there. So since then, a lot of information has come out about this case that has made people very uncomfortable because we saw Katie and Chris Proudfoot touting across social media, touting across mainstream media, professing their concern for their son and wanting him to come home. However, they really weren't. When you really look at those interviews, it was more about them, their image, their reputation, and oh, by the way, we have a missing son. So people were picking up on that. We started getting our activism together here on social media platforms. Yes, we do news stuff, but we have a lot of activism, right? We get people together, we community organize, we crowdfund, so to speak, with bodies, right? And so we got a mess of people out there searching for Sebastian, and Sebastian's father, Seth Rogers, was there. He was there. But the 2 people that weren't there and that continued not to be there over and over and over again were Chris and Katie Proudfoot. And so the volunteers were asking, hey, where are they? Why aren't they here helping? And so Chris and Katie tell the world, law enforcement tells us to stay home. We can't go out and help you guys search. But the searchers were talking about some people following them while they were searching. But it wasn't Katie or Chris. A few people started, getting snapshots of who these people were, and it appeared to be people related to Chris Proudfoot, such as Big D and the Bowersocks. So people were like, okay, and then it wasn't that. They tell us they have to stay home, and then they're found at a barbecue joint eating, but they didn't have time. They had time to go out of their house to eat, but not out of their house to search for their boy, and that was it. Everybody started breathing down their neck. They're like, what in the hell is going on with you two? Why aren't you out here searching? Why are you at a barbecue joint? And then they're so busy trying to find out who took that picture of them. They don't even answer why they wouldn't go out and search. They started calling every single creator to find out who posted that photo of them. Not anything about Sebastian, not anything about the searches. Why that photo? The very next day, they pack up their camper and they kick rocks. So then, after that starts happening, Seth starts getting a little more vocal. And we start learning a little more about what's going on behind the scenes. And then we have Trev Time on YouTube. Another TikToker's page. Sheila, no, I don't know. I'll have to go back. Wait until I'm done and then tell me about what is going on and I'll answer your question. But I can't do that right at this moment. But Sheila, ask me that. I'll let you know when to ask me and I'll answer your question. So Seth started being more vocal about what was going on and started letting us in a little bit. And then we started learning about, and of course, Chris Proudfoot, letting people know about how the belt incident. We started learning about CPS being involved. Then Trev Time brings in Nina. We start hearing about, how Chris Proudfoot treated her kids, his stepkids when he was married to her, how he treated her, how he tried to get her to come back to Tennessee in a concocted effort with his family, i.e. his mother, the Bowersocks, to take Faith from this woman that obviously looks like a pretty good mom, if you ask me. And you got this SOB concocting this plan after she just had a baby to take that baby away from her because he didn't want to pay her child support. He didn't want the baby. he was just going to be damned if this gold-digging bee is getting any a penny from him, right? You know those kind of men, right? We all do. We all do. No surprise. No surprise. And so that was when we started saying, you know, all this stuff we're feeling about Chris and Katie, this is starting to come out. This is starting to come out. We don't feel comfortable. We have, you know, law enforcement can blow smoke up the public's butt all they want to, but I'm sorry, we're not idiots, okay? We're not the idiots we once were. We have this whole true crime community, and we do this every day, and we watch their behaviors. And the bottom line is, as while law enforcement is sitting here telling us to our face that this is not a criminal investigation, their actions are saying much different. As we learned from Narcoid Diver, there's only one person. And who's Narcoid Diver? Narcoid Diver is out there looking in the waterways, a volunteer, a person that has a social media platform, that uses his social media platform to do his work. He's out there. Well, Chris Proudfoot called him. Not yesterday, the day before yesterday, and was on the phone with him, and everybody picked up on the wrong key. First and foremost, the feet, the retention pond, and everything like that. Law enforcement told us early on that they had a false hit. Everybody is forgetting that they had a false hit and is focusing on that portion of the Narcoid Diver's interview, saying, oh my gosh, there were real feet, and there was a real hit. Yes, law enforcement explained it a while ago. I'm not worried about it. But what Chris Proudfoot said in that interview, and it's right at, if you go over to Narcoid Diver on YouTube, it's right at the 2 minute and 50 second mark. Right at the 2 minute and 50 second mark. I'm telling you, you guys can go check it out yourself. That's my receipt. And he basically stated, law enforcement went and picked him up and drove him around. Not the mother, not the father. They picked up Chris and drove him from place to place to see if he knew anything. And he was bragging on the Narcoid Diver, if you need anything, I can tell you, because law enforcement came and picked me up, and only me. And they drove me around to look at these places. Now, we've been around the block a time or two to know what that strategy is. When was the last time that strategy was deployed while we were on this platform? Do you guys remember? You guys remember Audrey Cunningham? That little girl that Olivia and I just happened to be in Tennessee when she went missing? Or excuse me, Texas, when she went missing? Remember her? You remember that disgusting, despicable predator named Stephen McDougal? Remember him? Well, Stephen McDougal also got that ride with law enforcement. He was the only one that got that ride too. You know why they give you that ride? They give you that ride so they can watch your body language. They can look at your demeanor. They can find out if they're hot or cold. He was the furthest person from this child, according to him. The furthest person. So if he was the furthest person away from this boy right here, why is he the only one going for that right along with law enforcement? Doesn't make sense. Then, yesterday, mind-blowing, Nancy Grace. If anybody knows anything about Nancy Grace, I love Nancy Grace. I'm bold. I understand. I am an acquired taste. Okay, I get it. I'm an acquired taste. No problem. I love bold women. I love Beth Chapman. I love Nancy Grace. I love people that kick in the front door, right? I love people that kick in the front door, and I love the bluntness. I love the pointedness. I'm a blunt person. I love people being blunt with me. I don't take offense to it. If I ask you if my butt looks fat in these jeans, I'm truly asking you, does my ass look fat in these jeans? You better tell me the truth. One thing I don't like is a liar or a thief, okay? Don't lie to me. If I look crazy, tell me I look crazy, damn it. But Nancy Grace, she really wanted to ask the Proudfoots questions. She really wanted a fact-finding. She's listening to the crazy people on social media too, pointing the finger at these people and saying, wait a minute, let me talk to them, right? Nancy Grace is one of those people like me. I don't like taking other people's work. I want my own work. Let me talk to them. Chris won't talk to me. I think Chris and Katie are scared of Bullhorn Betty. But Nancy Grace got them on her show, and they were just sticks. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. 3 years ago. Right? We saw that. They were scared being on Nancy Grace, okay? They were scared of being on. But, Chris has to, make sure everybody knows, because it's all about the image with him, right? So he's acting all nice, cool, nonchalant when she said, hey, you guys have polygraph test? Any polygraph test? Polygraph test behind door number 1, right? We've heard everybody had polygraph test. It's all over social media. Chris had a polygraph test and passed. Katie had a polygraph test and passed. Seth had a polygraph test and passed. Who told us this? Chris Proudfoot. That's right. Chris Proudfoot told us that, didn't he? Oh, well, that's kind of funny, because on Nancy Grace, she asked them, who had a polygraph test? And they go, well, I did. Well, I didn't. What? Yes. So now we found out the only person that had their polygraph test was Katie Proudfoot. And she's like, oh, I passed. I don't believe that, but hey, that's what she says. So Nancy's like, well, why didn't you have a polygraph test? Well, I offered many times to have a polygraph test, he says, right? I offered many times. Oh, really? You did? Oh, well, let me go ahead and help you out with that, right? So Nancy Grace is like, we love Nancy Grace. You want a polygraph test? I'm happy to help. Let me pay for it for you, right? We know Nancy Grace. If I pay for it, will you take it? What does he say? Name a place and a time. Remember that? Name a place and time. Okay. Well, she named a place and time, and she gets this text message back from him saying, oh, well, TBI told me not to take it with the Nancy Grace show. She's like, really? Wow. She had an expert on there yesterday and everything. Long story short, Nancy Grace calls Chris Proudfoot out about that very polygraph test. And she put her expert on, and her expert basically said, we have a lot of problems here. We have a lot of problems. Everything that we've been talking about for all these days, guys, do you know they hit almost everything the Bullhorn Betty channel has been putting out for the last week, almost in verbatim order. We're not dumb here. We're not dumb here. These are forensic experts saying, hey, the flashlight means something. The 3-hour phone call means something. All these things that we've been talking about, they mean something. And so this expert is saying, look, this is the bad part about it. Law enforcement is telling us to our face there is no possibility. No, they're not saying no possibility. They're saying there's no evidence, right? There's no evidence of foul play. Okay, there's no evidence of foul play. There's no evidence that there's not foul play. Now let's look at law enforcement's behavior. Just like Nancy Grace's forensic expert that was on there yesterday morning states, she does not believe, and guys, I don't want to burst your bubble. Don't beat me up. I'm just the messenger here. They doubt law enforcement believes this boy is alive. Period. And Nancy Grace asked her, why? And if you guys watch me on YouTube, one of the biggest things I always say is in lack of information, I look at law enforcement behavior. Well, that's because that's how you look at things, right? And so that is exactly what this forensic expert said. She basically said, in lack of information, we need to look at the law enforcement's behavior. What's in the law enforcement's behavior? Now, this is where it starts getting sad. Where are they looking? They're looking in waterways. They're looking in ponds. They're looking in bodies of water. And they're looking in landfills. That is the behavior of law enforcement. That doesn't sound like law enforcement is looking for a healthy boy. Period. So while law enforcement is looking at us in front of our face and saying there's no evidence of any type of foul play, their behavior is not indicative of that statement. Because they're taking Chris for ride-alongs, they're searching waterways, they're searching landfills, But it seems like the only person getting a whole bunch of attention from us, as well as law enforcement, is Christopher Proudfoot. That is very telling. All right, guys, I've got a few more things. So if you guys want to start putting your questions down in chat, I'll start looking at them and answering them. But here are some key takeaways on the Nancy Grace show. He lied about the polygraph test. He lied about the belt issue. He lied about CPS being involved. And then there was also some questions about how in the world did he know? Because a couple of the statements he made led the public to believe that Christopher Proudfoot has had CPS involved because he seemed to know the CPS worker that came out for him. A little weird. All right, let's go back up and see where we're at here. Why are they adamant that those lights seen in the video are not from flashlights? Majestic Blue, I think that is a great question. There are two parts to that. Maybe they truly don't believe that they're flashlights, or it is credible information that has to be removed because it goes to the integrity of the investigation. And it's information they cannot have out there. So law enforcement's allowed to lie. So it's one of the two things. They're either not the flashlights or we're being lied to. And remember, they can't. Not sure. They want help, they get it, and they don't want it. Says a lot. Exactly. Seth in the video from the steakhouse was telling, we never see it. Yeah, the steakhouse video, I think the only takeaway from that is that he basically said his son wasn't as jovial as he normally is, and it identified the clothing that he had on that night. People have been talking about that clothing. Now, I don't know if they've turned over that clothing to law enforcement that he was seen in that video, but it almost seems like because of how many people are asking about the clothing that they've never turned it over. So again, this is a piece of information that only law enforcement has. I really wouldn't get involved in the speculation of it, whether they've turned it in or not, because we really don't know. And I think it'll take people down a rabbit hole, especially if law enforcement really does already have those clothes. We'll be spending months on why she didn't turn them in when they've been turned in. So, things like that are insignificant. They're significant details for the whole case. But for what we're doing here, it's an insignificant detail right now. It's going to be a more prominent detail later down the road if he wasn't in the black sweatpants and hoodie, which I found awfully ironic that this one day that he allegedly goes out of his house, he's in all black. Lucky him. Where did we end up going camping? They need to look for evidence there. That is the Yogi Bear campground in Mississippi. And that is a concern for me. The whole RV, that's another issue, major contention for me in this entire case is that RV. Because if Chris did do something with Sebastian, it is my belief, if he worked on Monday, there's some questions coming in about whether he was working Monday too. Guys, like this case is really starting to get a life of its own, and so I'm working through all these things, but I am working trying to find legit information. So if I can navigate through this and find out for sure whether he was at work, because we've been told, Chris Proudfoot told us that he was at work. He was like literally sitting on a crane when he received a call from his wife, and we're hearing that he may not even have been at work on Monday. I don't know if that's true. I'm saying that is a huge lie that can be very well confirmed by law enforcement. I'm praying to God he wouldn't make a stupid lie like that. That can be so easily corroborated. But there is a possibility. But I can't look at it. Our information is he was on the crane when that call came in, and that's what I'm believing. He's on that crane when that call came in. But if he was working that day and he did do this, he wouldn't have had time to stash this boy. He wouldn't have had time. He would have had to take this boy, in my opinion, back to his RV, or literally just open the door and kick him out, because he literally had no time. So that's where my problem is there's like an hour window here that I got to find out what happened. But if he did take him, I think he would have stashed him in his RV, because his RV was something that was just weird. He leaves, he gets a call at 6:30. Like, they're calling law enforcement. They have the cavalry coming in at 6:30, but he's trying to make us believe he didn't leave work until 9. Who takes 2.5 hours to get out of work with a missing child? That is not plausible. It's not realistic to me. It's about as realistic as a 3-hour phone call. So he didn't get home. So there's an opportunity right then that he could have done something, because he didn't return to his house until 1 p.m. When Seth had gotten there, I think Seth said he got there right about, when did Seth say he got there? Right about 8? Because he got out of work at like 7:45, took him 7:20 or something like that. And it takes him about 45, 50 minutes to get there. So whatever time that was, he was there. And when he got to the house, Chris Proudfoot's mom was already there. Weird. And we heard that Chris Proudfoot's mom might have been seen near the school too at 5:45 in the morning. Really weird. But we can't, those are all speculative. So the whole RV thing, if he didn't have the time coming home to do something with him or going to work to do something with him, maybe that explains his urgency that he needed to go back to his RV the very next day. Remember that urgency he had, where we're all sitting here scratching our heads saying, did he just really go back to Mississippi to get his RV while his stepson's missing? Remember? And he's like, I had to get my, he came back and everybody wants to know why you left, sir. Why did you have to go back? Well, I had to go get my stuff. My work called me and told me that, I need to come get my stuff and get out of there and get here and not come back until, this is all resolved. And we're all like, who does that to somebody? And then we learned that his camper wasn't even on their property. It was on a campground property that he's paying privately. So again, what was the urgency to go back and get the RV? That RV is important. I'm telling you guys, that RV is important. I don't know how it's important. I don't know if Sebastian was stored in it, stashed in it, or whatever. That RV is important. That camper is important, because there's a reason why he had to go back and get it the next day. And not only that, but why did he have to go back and get it the next day? Because it just in a few days from the time he went and picked it up, him and Katie are running right back to the area. So why didn't he just leave it there? It doesn't make sense. And then there's another allegation here. I don't know how true this is, guys. I hate spreading misinformation, but I think it's a tidbit of information y'all need to know, is that we're hearing from people that there were SA allegations about Chris Proudfoot and a potential stepsister. Those are being investigated now. That's being looked into. But it looks like there may be some element of truth to that. I'm not sure yet. We're looking into it. We're looking into the allegation. We're looking into everything related to Chris Proudfoot, because this case has, no matter how I look at it, I analyze this stuff all the time. I do. I don't know what it is, but it's just, I have a clear understanding of bullshit. I'm a very blunt person. I like being very blunt to people, because I think it throws them off their game. When you're a blunt person and not, walking on eggshells, people don't know how to react to that. So you're either going to get a quick lie or a quick truth. So you're identifying those. It's that's the way I am. It's because you identify so much more behavior being just direct, blunt, and talking to somebody. Like, I'm an eyeball person. So when I'm talking to you, that's why I have no problem looking like this. When I'm thinking and stuff, yeah, I start thinking. But for I'm an eyeball person. I want to see, when I'm talking to you, I like seeing you right here. Because when I look you dead in your eyes, my eyes are going up and down. When I had that talk with Don Wells, I had my sunglasses on. I keep my sunglasses on if I'm outside, and I can cover my eyes in any way, shape, or form when I'm talking to people, especially people I suspect of doing horrible things. I am constantly eyeballing their entire body through my entire interview. I don't know why. It's just something I do. I did it with Don Wells. He was recording me. He never released that recording, by the way. He told me I couldn't record him. But when I was there, you clearly seen his phone was in his pocket, and he was recording our entire conversation, and he never released it. I wonder why. because I wasn't rude to him. I told him straight up. I'm like, why is this going on? Everybody was asking about Summer Wells. Here's the nearest. I was out there a few months ago, and I saw Don Wells working on his truck. So I holler up there. I said, "Hey, Don Wells, who is that?" "It's Bullhorn." Ah, fuck. "You gonna come down and talk to me?" Didn't hear any more. And then we're getting ready to leave, and then all of a sudden, no shit, the truck starts moving, and I look over at Chronicles of Olivia and Mom, and I'm like, holy shit, he's coming down. Sit here. I'm like, Olivia, I can't record him. I don't want to record him. I need to ask him these questions. I don't want anything, and we didn't record the conversation. And I kind of wish I would have, but we didn't. And I had a conversation with him, and I'm like, Don, what is going on here? What happened? He said, I don't know. I said, Don, look at this. How is somebody going to scale this mountain? I said, why is everything keep coming back here to this house and coming back here to you and your wife? Like, no matter how I try to work this case, everything comes back to you guys. Can you explain that? He said, no. I said, well, who can I look at? I asked him point blank, who else can I look at? I need somebody to look at, Don. Help me help you. Who else is there? You know what he told me? There's nobody else to look at. I was like, well, Don, this is a little bit of a pickle now, isn't it? There's nobody else to look at, and everything keeps coming back here. Can you at least explain that to me? And he couldn't. We had a few other words together, we did. We had a few other words together, but that was the gist of it. And he acknowledged there's no other people to look at, and he can't explain why everything keeps coming back to that house. I think that was the most truthful I've ever had Don. I tell you that when I spoke to him, I looked at him dead in his eyes. The man was sober. I had never seen him sober. You guys know I've seen him several times. So there's your update on Summer Wells. We haven't found her. Don Wells is still maintaining that they had nothing to do with it, but he still can't give me another person to look at, and he can't explain what happened. And he can't even explain how it happened. Like, everybody's like, oh, the dog trails. Okay, well, you know what? I'm a theory person, right? I'm gonna put a theory to test. Pick up a kid and run down that dog trail. Let's see how it does. Put the child in, helmet, in skating gear, and let's put this theory to test. Let's get a child that's Summer's age, Summer's size, Summer's weight. CP is not going to divorce KP, so she's not going to be able. Everybody's really confused about this testifying against spouses, just like the HIPAA. Okay, let me explain this. You yourself, if you want to provide your own medical information, you can't be charged with violating HIPAA. HIPAA is there to protect you. If you choose, it's basically an act that says you don't have to disclose. Okay? So if you choose to say, hey, I'm on medication, because Chris keeps saying, I can't tell you that because it's a violation of HIPAA. You're allowed to violate HIPAA. It's your child. If you want to get the information out there, you can do it. Now, why am I going through this when you're asking about a divorce? Because you said she won't be able to testify against him. That's not true. A married couple, a husband and wife, are absolutely allowed to testify against each other. The issue is they can't be forced under the law to testify against each other. There's the difference. It's not that they can't. I've seen married couples testify on and stay married and whatever. It's that the state can't force you to do it. If you want to go and testify, whether you're married or divorced, nobody can stop you. Nobody can stop you. Now, there will be challenges. HIPAA only applies to medical staff. Spousal immunity. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I wanted people to know that because everybody's like, oh, HIPAA. No, you, that's your control. Okay? HIPAA is the instructions for everybody else with your personal information. Remember, it's your personal information. You can disclose whatever the hell you want to. This is to prevent other people from doing so. So just remember that. Every time you hear that man saying HIPAA, 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 now you know. Now you know. He's full of shit. He's been full of shit. It sounds like he's probably going to lawyer up before TBI gives him that damn polygraph test. What you bet? What you bet? So that's where we're at, guys. It's not looking good. Oh, the other thing. Some asshole, excuse my language, but I'm going to call him an asshole for effect. Excuse me, Pastor. I know you watch my stuff. But he's an asshole. I don't know if it's a female or male. Going out in all the chat rooms saying that there is a heavy law enforcement presence around Katie and Chris Proudfoot's home. Trying to get all these people talking about, somebody going in there to misinform people. Well, we're the true crime genre, okay? We overanalyze literally everything. And because we're who we are, we call each other. And we say, who can we send out there, right? We all know each other. All of us creators know each other. Whether we like each other or love each other. I will only work with creators that I absolutely love. Or I want to support because they're doing good stuff, whether I like them or not. And so we ended up getting somebody to go out there. And this is what's so heartbreaking. As we are hoping that law enforcement was out there, it'd be perfect. Nighttime, forensics. We know forensics have not been done to that house yet. So we're thinking, okay, forensics, they're going in there for forensics. Well, we found out that's not true. Not only were law enforcement not there, they are not doing anything with that house. That house was pitch black. There's the work truck still out in front of it. And there's one single sign in the yard in case Sebastian Rogers comes home. It is my belief the reason why they ran out is because that mama cannot stand to be in that house knowing what happened to her son. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. There is not one piece in my mind that believes, and even if Katie did pass her polygraph test, test her again. Test her again. I bet you if she didn't have knowledge, she has more knowledge than she ever had. Test her again. Thank you. So that's where we're at, guys. We're just keep praying. But I've been watching everything. I listen to the experts, and I am monitoring the behaviors of law enforcement. And I can tell you, and I hate doing this because I know that there are some family members of Seth as well as Sebastian that watches this. But I have to think that they know as well that this is law enforcement is not looking for Sebastian running, and they're not looking in those areas. They're looking in areas that give us a much more sad outcome. And I think that at this point we all need to start looking at that, because he's not found. He left without shoes on. We can't, he had no food. I mean, it is what it is. But we need to find Sebastian. He's out there. He's out there. We need to find out where. All right, guys, I want to thank you guys so very much. What a wonderful group we had this morning. And what a wonderful group. Somebody's saying, okay, let me address this too. Some people are saying that they believe they stashed them somewhere. I don't believe it. Okay? Nobody is going to go through this. Okay? There's nothing that's going to make a parent want to go through what they're going through right now to stash a kid, especially when the step-parent was going to take them. It doesn't math out right, guys. I know we're always so hopeful for long shots, but that is a long shot. There is no way that is a really, I mean, it's a possibility, but there's no way it's a probability. There's just no way. Unfortunately, because why would they go through all of this? The father was going to take him. Seth was going to take him. If they didn't want him there, he was going to be taken. There's no reason to go hide him somewhere to get him out of the house. There's no. It has no purpose, and there's no benefit. You got to look at what would the benefit be. There's no benefit of it. Nobody's going to go through all of this with no benefit. And that's what we're being led to believe. So I don't believe that he's off in a friend's house. I don't believe that they took him off in the middle of the night to go put him in a home somewhere. I don't believe that. I just don't. It doesn't, there's no benefit for it. So that's why I'm adamant about that aspect of it, because in my mind, it doesn't math for me. It's a hopeful, yeah, you know what, I can identify that it's a hopeful feeling for me, but it's not a realistic feeling for me. So I wanted to get that out there. And I think that's about it, guys. But wow, what a great turnout this morning. We had quite a few of you guys in here. Thank you for coming over here and learning a little bit about the Sebastian Rogers case. I really hope you guys advocate for this and keep his face and name out there. We want him peppered across this country because we don't know where he is. And just because I feel the way I feel, you know, we could have one of those miracles like Charlotte Senna, right? We could have those miracles like Charlotte Senna. He could be our next miracle. We have to pray and we have to have hope. But I also have to talk realistic to my audience because this is about reality and we don't live in fantasy. And, you know, we're hopeful for those one-offs. But again, see you guys soon. God bless. Rock your hump day out. And don't forget, happy hump day. I'll see you crazy people a little later. And don't forget, this is all sponsored by our beautiful subscribers. So if you'd like to subscribe, it's $2.99 a month to be a member and a valued supporter of the Bullhorn Betty channel. God bless.